So, hello and welcome back to this episode of the Self-Development with Tactics podcast. And I do think that you can actually see in the background because, sorry, I do just have to close my closet. Now I'm here. Because I think it's just a little bit bothering if it's, in the back and there's something open and, whatever. It kind of distracts somehow. Of actually looking at me maybe. But what I wanted to say is that if you actually can see in the background, we will discuss a completely another book, this time on the paulminus.com website, which is an incredible website. Totally. There are so great book summaries, they're so detailed and they're structured. They're just really great to go through, and this is just an incredible gift that I think this certain person just, decided to actually make free book summaries. It is totally great, and I think he also has his own books, and I do hope that he is making a little bit of money with what he's doing right there, because he's providing a great lot of free value, which is totally great. And which book it is? It's actually this book, and the book is called the book is called, can you see it? There's just a little overview or just a little picture there. Designing Your Life. Designing Your Life. Seems to be pretty great. This time it's again a self-help book, because I do think that we haven't been going through an actual self-help book in quite a long time. If you do not count the Charisma book, then we haven't. If yes, then quite not. We will go through this one, and because I do just have to record 2 episodes today, I can promise you or tell you that there's coming up, or there will be something in the future, or on Friday to be precise. That is pretty great, actually, and this is pretty, and I do hope that you can actually learn something from that as well. We will go through this one. I think this is also a pretty great one. I'm just really looking forward to seeing if this is actually something great. I do just remember. If this is actually in terms of Amazon, because I always like to just, it has 4 stars. Has it? No, it has 4.5 stars. 1, 2, 3, 4, 4.5. So it seems to be fairly good. Is it from the right authors? Should actually be. Yes, it is. So it seems to be a great book. I do not know if actually the author of this certain article or of these all book summaries actually also looking at the Amazon reviews or Amazon ratings, and to actually choose what books he is reading would actually be interesting. Maybe I'll hit him up. Yeah, never mind. But we will just start, or I will just start. So, Designing Your Life is a book for people who want to claim control of their life instead of living in somebody else's. It's a book for those who seek ways to live a more fulfilling life and squeeze lessons out of their daily grind. Above all, it is a book for those who feel lost and can't find a direction in their life. I do hope quite nobody out there just needs this book. And I actually also think that nobody should actually need what I'm doing here. So besides the vlog, I do hope that nobody actually needs what I'm quite doing as a podcast right now. Even though it seems to be a little bit contradicting, because this might actually be my main labor in a year or maybe 2 years. So I don't know, but I do not really hope it for people, because this just shows me, okay, there is something they are not happy about. And there is something like a problem in their life, which is totally something I do not wish anybody out there. The introduction. Who is this book for? Designing Your Life is a book for people who want to claim control of their life. Okay, this is actually quite the same. Not gonna read it. About the authors, Bill Burnett or Burnett. It's Burnett. So it could be Burnett, could be Burnett, whatever it is the executive director of the design program at Stanford. He has worked professionally on a wide variety of projects, ranging from award-winning Apple PowerBooks to the original Star Wars action figures. Dave Evans is a lecturer at the product design program at Stanford, a management consultant and a founder of Electronic Arts, and co-founder of Electronic Arts. What the fucking hell? Having previously worked in the product marketing team of Apple. So you can truly see, okay, these two people have a lot of knowledge, if it's in terms of the actual corporate world or if it's in terms of actual life. I would say I do think that they just know what they're talking about, which is definitely great. And this is definitely something you just have to look out for. What or who actually is the person who's giving you the advice. The funny thing about this is that you can actually just think about it as well about me, because I'm someone, I haven't achieved quite anything yet. Maybe in my personal life, I do just have achieved something for me personally in terms of my mind and in terms of, me being happy with myself. But in the corporate world, I've quite achieved nothing, really nothing. And I still just give advice. And this is practically why I'm going through book summaries and or articles and whatever, because I by myself do not know much. Or it wouldn't be dumb, but it would be just a little bit crazy if I just give you advice as someone who isn't actually in this world or hasn't actually achieved anything in this world in terms of this world. So the corporate world, the business world, whatsoever. I haven't achieved anything yet. Totally important, it's a yet. I will, hopefully. And I do think so. I do think that if I'm really gonna just be doing what I'm doing right now, and this for a constant time, and with maybe just greater product value or product quality or production quality, why not? Every single person has the opportunity, but the thing is, it is just a fucking lot of work. And this is just, I think, what a lot of people get wrong. They all think, okay, being a YouTuber, being a social media guy is so easy, but it's not. You do just have to be creative. You do just have to do this. You do just have to do that. There's a lot to do. And I do think that I'm in a position that's fairly easy right now. So I do think it might be getting a little bit harder, over time, and with the growth. But yeah, so in the summary, this book is packed with actionable exercises on how to design, calibrate, and reinvent your life. From debunking dysfunctional beliefs, we all have to helping you assess where you are in life, and from getting you unstuck from reframing our common failures into valuable lessons. I'm sure you'll find this book's lessons addictive, and let's get started. Actually, totally right. Let's get fucking started. So the book summary, and the first point is, point. So the first one is the approach. Dysfunctional beliefs. We all have dysfunctional beliefs in our lives. According to the authors, dysfunctional beliefs are the myths that prevent so many people from designing the life they actually want. Examples of dysfunctional beliefs and how they can be reframed. Dysfunctional belief. Your degree determines your career. Reframe: 3/4 of all college grades don't end up working in a career related to their majors. And totally right. And the best example would actually be, the best example as an employer would actually be Elon Musk, because he himself says that the degree somebody has doesn't say anything about the person. It says about maybe, how strict he or she was with learning what was in the university or whatsoever. But he says that if there's somebody, or if you're somebody who's actually working hard and is good at what they're doing, why the fuck would you actually matter if this person has a degree or not? And it doesn't make any sense. That's totally right what he is saying, because the person is good, the person is maybe also quite nice as well and kind as well and whatsoever. So why wouldn't you take her or him for the job instead of someone who has a degree and maybe isn't actually as good as the other person, or is maybe as good as the other person? It would be 50-50. It's totally interesting that a lot of people still are so fascinated or so kind of crippled by the degrees and by their titles and whatsoever. It's quite interesting at my point of view. The second dysfunctional belief is, if you are successful, you will be happy. The reframe would be, true happiness comes from designing a life that works for you. And this is, first of all, this statement is totally right. And second of all these dysfunctional beliefs are also quite common, I would say, unfortunately. A lot of people have dysfunctional beliefs. The thing is, actually realizing them is the problem. I do think that often it's just about realizing what the real reality is like and what's just real. And then when people then understand it and recognize it and so on, I think most of them will just do something about it. And it always comes up to your circumstances, the people around you, especially the people around because they are influencing you. I've never thought that this is actually true, and I've quite always thought like, this is total shit, and this will never happen to me. I will never be influenced by the people around me. The thing is, I just then noticed, actually, it isn't a long time ago, I think a month or two, when I was thinking about it, okay, it is actually true that the people around me actually influence me as well. And heavily influence me, because this just, creates certain habits for you. This just creates certain thinking patterns, and this creates so much for you that is quite important, and quite important in a positive and in a negative way. So important quite to look out for. Actually, turning on the light so that you maybe can see me a little bit better. And I think actually, yeah. And the third dysfunctional belief is, it's too late. And the reframe would be, it's never too late to design a life you love. And that's totally true. And I do think, unfortunately, as I began to say, a lot of people have dysfunctional beliefs. And that's totally nothing to be like, okay, it's so bad and you can never change it or whatsoever. This actually itself would be a dysfunctional belief, at my point of view, because you can always change. But I know there are a lot of people who just always think, it can't be changed. This is just something that's permanent or whatsoever, even if it isn't. And I don't know. It is quite complicated, I think, to understand these people if you're not sharing the same opinion. But I do think that you can just be a little bit more empathetic with these people. I do see often that when people have a different opinion, they just get bashed by other ones. And I do quite not understand this, because everybody has their own opinions, or has his or her own opinions, and that's totally great, I would say. All the people having the same opinion would be fucking boring. Some may have an opinion that's quite right, if you're just, in general right, and some's maybe not that right, even though it really comes up to who you are, what you know, and whatsoever. So the goal of this book is to help you reframe and overcome these dysfunctional beliefs and live a well-designed life. A well-designed life. The author's definition of a well-designed life is a life that is generative, it is constantly creative, productive, changing, evolving, and there's always the possibility of surprise. I do think that this statement is quite accurate. I do not know how you're feeling about this. So please tell me, how are you feeling about this? How are you feeling about this quote? And what do you think is a well-designed life? Do you think it's, involves a lot of work? Because I do just know a lot of people that are being like, okay, I do not actually like to work that much. And for me, the best life would be not working. That's definitely not my opinion, because I think it would be just so fucking boring for me. Even though I could travel, even though I could do whatever I want, if I'm not working and if I'm not just constantly doing something that I feel like is productive, this is really just hard for me. I do not know if there's someone else who is just having the same quote-unquote problem, but I do just really like to do things. I've never liked to just sit around all day long. I have once been just sitting around all day long actually watching YouTube videos, but I've never been quite, to some degree it is possible for me, but then it just starts to really bother me, and then I just have to go out and have to do something else. But I do just see that it's actually half time, so I'm actually going to be a little bit faster. So a not so well designed life can lead to misery. Research shows that for most people, passion comes after they try something, discover they like it, and develop mastery, and not before. So research shows that for most people, passion comes after they try something, discover they like it, and develop mastery, and not before. Passion is the result of a good life design, not the cause. Yeah, I would say so. I would definitely say so. Because if you're designing your life in such a way that you're passionate about your life and that you're passionate about every singular second that you're having in your day, it is definitely a great life, because passion is something that's incredibly valuable at my point of view. Because if you're not passionate, to some degree at least, I do think you're just living like somehow, like if there's totally not one singular piece of passion out there in your life, then you really have to change something up. This is just what I think, but I do think you should. So this book will use design thinking to get you unstuck, have lots of ideas and lots of options. It will help you reframe problems, build prototypes of your life, and test them out, so you can design your own best life. You will become a life designer, building your way forward, not thinking about it. So thinking like underlined and bold and everything. It could be to just stand out and just be like in thinking, not thinking. The second one is getting started. And I do think actually getting started is one of the most important things, and it is also one of the most difficult things, because a lot of people just somehow forget to start, or somehow be like, okay, no, I'm gonna do this tomorrow. This will be totally okay if I'm doing it just a little later on. But you shouldn't. I really believe that one of the things that really helped me with my life and actually being more productive and also more successful, if you want, is actually starting something right ahead. Whatever it is, just really starting, if I'm actually able to, being like, okay, I'm just going to work as a real estate agent. I do not know if it's that legal to do it without any knowledge or without any degree or any certifications, but you can learn a lot about it. You can learn a lot about your situation or your real estate situation at your home or in your country or whatever it is. So in general, I do think there's always a way to start. Whatever it is, there's always a way to start. But I truly think about as the initial thing that I want to say was that actually starting with the thing that you want to do immediately. I once started actually from one day to another taking cold showers. I did it the first day that I quite discovered it and discovered it as something that I think will benefit my life. Then I immediately started it on this day. And for this, from that day on, I've just done it over and over and over again. And now it's a habit for me. And now it's totally normal that I'm doing it. And it's, I think, the same thing with doing the podcast right now. I've once started it immediately, this certain day, the production was pretty shit, to be honest. But, that doesn't matter. The thing is that you should just start, at my point of view. And this really helped myself. Getting started. Let's be honest, we all have got problems. Most people spend years of their whole life working on the wrong problems. No wonder why they end up living unhappy lives. Life design starts by understanding where you are, the right problems you need to solve. But first, let's identify the wrong problems to focus on. Gravity problems, which is or seems to be the first category of problems. I've been out of work for 5 years. It's going to be much harder for me to get a job, and that's not fair, which is definitely an employment problem. I want to go back to school and become a doctor, but it will take me at least 10 years, and I don't want to invest that much time right now. This would be then an education problem. I am a poet, but the market has changed and it is difficult to make a living nowadays, which is a market problem. These are not real problems. It is the reality. They are the facts of life. They are called gravity problems because, like gravity, they cannot be solved. Yeah, I do not know what this is leading to, but I do quite think you can solve them. You can just practically go to school again if it is possible legally. I do not know, maybe it is in some countries not quite possible, but I do think in my country it is actually possible to just go to you do just have to have um, a lot of certifications and or a lot of tests to do before you actually can go to university. At my point of view, I do think that to actually really start to do your doctor or to be a doctor or whatsoever, but I think it basically could work. But if you're just thinking about it as a total statement, like I will never be a doctor, period, then yeah, this is a problem you won't be solving because you quite don't want to, even though you're saying you want to, which is actually a funny thing. Sorry for actually not showing you. So the gravity problems that are here, which is actually a funny thing because a lot of people, and I've recognized it with myself as well, when saying like, I want this and I want that and whatsoever, a lot of people just say it but actually don't mean it. And this is then a problem. Maybe, sometimes it's totally not a problem, especially when you're talking to yourself, like, okay, whether you do it or not just doesn't matter then. But if you're just, including other people or whatever, this might lead to a problem. People like fighting the city hall, the laws of the market, the laws of nature, how the world thinks. So people like fighting, quote unquote, fighting the city hall, the laws of the market, the laws of nature, and how the world thinks. If it is not actionable, it is not a problem. Acceptance is the only response to a gravity problem. Start where you are and not where you wish you were or where the world should be. Only then you'll be free to reframe the situation into an actionable problem and design a way to live your life and even fight the city hall. And how to find where you actually are. Dysfunctional belief. I should already know where I am going. And the reframe would be you can't know where you're going until you know where you are. Well, this makes sense. You can't know where you're going until you know where you are. The following assessment will help you do exactly that. Work, play, love, and health dashboard. The first one is your health gauge. It's Gauge. I think it's gauge. Is it gauge? I don't know. Healthy means being well in your body, mind, and spirit. Health is at the base of our diagram because when you're not healthy, nothing else in your life works very well. All the other areas are built on top of it. And this is totally something that I truly believe in. But I do just understand and I do just know that a lot of people don't think this way. They are thinking about partying, they are thinking about what they like to do, and they still just eat shit, maybe smoke, maybe drink a lot of alcohol, and just don't do anything for their health in terms of actually doing a little bit of sports whatsoever. But I quite just always think like people don't understand that if their health is not in a good position, how should they actually be able to do something that they actually enjoy? Because your fucking health is the fucking base of everything, as they actually just pointed out in the summary. It is totally it. It totally makes sense, and it totally is the thing. It is just the base of your life. The second one is your work gauge. Assess your work life as a whole. Forms of work will include your 9-to-5 job, maybe a second job, any consulting or advising, regular volunteering work, raising children, taking care of aging parents, housework, and so on. A third one is, well, this just explains what this actually means, okay? The third one is your play gauge. Play is an activity that brings joy. Done for the pure sake of the doing, it can include organized activity or productive endeavors, but only if they are done for fun and not merit. All lives need some play. Highlights the authors. Your love gauge. It is as critical to feel loved by others as it is to love. First first come our family and primary relationship. Children typically come next, and then it's friends, pets, community, or anything else that brings affection in our lives. Totally. So the conclusion of this all would be, which is totally great that I actually pointed out because I do not have any fucking clue what he actually wants to say. Life design is a non-stop process. We are only done designing our lives when we die. And so therefore ask yourself, are you happy right now with where you are in these 4 areas? So like your health, your work, your play, and your love. And I do think that if one of these things isn't there, that there is something a problem, and that there is a problem. For example, if you're not loving or if you're not being loved, I do think this just has a lot of problems. This just really makes you feel not that good. And because of that, maybe your health goes down, and maybe because of your health, your work goes down, and maybe because of your work, you cannot enjoy your play anymore. I do think this is just a very, very complicated structure, and a very just correlated structure and connected structure. I really think that if one of these things go away, even though I do just have to say, okay, health is something that's totally important because it's just a base. And if you're thinking just about a building, if the base sucks, then the building sucks as well, because it might fall down and might just really, kind of not explode, but break down, be destroyed, whatever it is. Because it is the base. And if the base isn't well built, then the whole building can't just stand. Then the work, I do just think about it if it is actually like health, work, play, and love. But I don't think so. I would actually say health, love, work, play. What would you say? Write it down in the comments or just text me as a DM on Instagram, Twitter, or actually Facebook if this is working. I don't know. So ask yourself, are you happy right now with where you are in these 4 areas? Are there any problems in any of these areas that need action? And are there any gravity problems you are stuck with? And I think a gravity problem, besides the whole things that he pointed out or they pointed out, which actually I didn't quite understand. I quite thought about it like, okay, this is for me not something that is, permanent or total. But a gravity problem might also be just if the weather is bad. I do just know, and I will just complain myself. I do just really to reduce the amount of my complaining, because it doesn't bring any value to me. It just is unnecessary, and it will just lose a lot of energy by doing it. This is just fact. Like you could definitely use the energy you're putting into complaining about some shit into something that's actually worthwhile. But if the weather is bad and you're complaining, it is total bullshit, because you can't change anything about the weather. We do to some degree can change the weather, but you as a private person, you as a non-governmental state, you cannot. And so therefore you just have to accept it and have to be like, okay, it is raining, it's okay for me, and I will just go on living my life and just doing the best out of the situation and actually reframing it. I think this is actually quite a reframe that I was just going through. Okay, the dysfunctional belief is the weather it's bad, therefore I'm complaining about it, and the whole day is shit. Totally. This could work. This could be actually a real thing. People being like, okay, the weather is bad, therefore the whole fucking day isn't good anymore. The reframe would be, okay, I will not complain about the weather because there is nothing to do about the weather, and I will just, do the best out of this certain day that is possible. I cannot do what's, more than my best. And this assessment will help you discover where you are, control what you can, and get unstuck after all. After all, designing something changes the future that is possible. Makes sense. I do think I'm going to stop with the second point here. I do hope that you get something out of it. It's quite an okay book to this point, so it's nothing that, like, I would say the last things were quite great. So the Gauche thing, I really enjoyed these things, but and Dysfunctional Beliefs is very important to just talk about them. So in general, I think it is an important book, because of actually being a little bit more self-reflective, maybe. But up to this point, there wasn't just great information there or great exercises, but I do think, because we actually went through quite, what would it be? Like a quarter of the whole thing. So there's definitely going to be a lot more. I do not know how I will do it, but I do think that I will just, this will be the episode for today. And the other one that I'm going to record is actually the one for Friday. It's always a little bit tricky because I do just have 2 books at a time. So tomorrow I will not be just talking about this book, which is also a little bit of a crazy thing. But yeah. The outro. I actually hope that you really like the author, because it's something new, and I do really hope that you like the whole thing that I've done with the podcast or with the video itself to actually make it a little bit more interesting. But yeah, I hope you get the best health, wealth, happiness, and success. And do not forget about thinking your legacy and giving back to the other people, because these 2 things are actually quite important, and at my point of view are really important. It can also make you to a much happier man or girl or woman, than you are right now. And with that being said, I think at least, I hope you have a wonderful day, and I love you.